Gaze reading where the greats drop by. Trendy authors tell us all the who, what, and why. Anyone can listen cause we're spoiler free. Gaze reading from Pulitzer stars to book club picks, where the curious minds can get their fix. So you say you're not gay, well that's okay. There's something for everyone. Gaze reading.
Hello and welcome to Gaze Reading. I'm your host, Jason Blitman, and on today's episode, I have Lily King, the one and only Lily King. She talks to me about her brand new book, Heart the Lover. And my guest gay reader today is Dustin Thao, whose book, You've Found Oliver, also just came out. So both of those books are available now. Both of their bios can be found in the show notes. And I'm so happy to be here this Banned Books Week, y'all. What are we doing to combat banned books? I know I'm going to buy a bunch and I'm going to gift a bunch and support some local organizations and like my local library and other things like that. So I hope you're doing something too to support the banned books. Crazy, y'all. It is freaking crazy. Anyway, thank you all for being here. If you are new to Gaze Reading, welcome. If you are coming back again, as always, welcome back. I'm astonished and grateful that folks keep coming back. I once upon a time hated listening to my own voice, and would have never thought that people would want to listen to it. So this is always very funny to me. Folks have asked me how to leave a review for the show. So let me quickly explain. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you're listening to the episode, you can click Gaze Reading underneath the episode title, and it'll take you to the main page. Then scroll all the way down, and you'll see the ratings and reviews. You'll see the stars, and that is the place that you could leave, hopefully, a 5-star rating and a review if you're so inclined. It means so much to me and really helps with the algorithm so that other folks can, in theory, potentially find this podcast. In addition, we are on social media. We are at Gaze Reading over on the Instagram. And what else is happening? There's a lot of fun stuff coming down the pike in the world, in my life. And I'm excited to share some of that as the weeks go on. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I am in conversation live with Claire Leslie Hall, talking about her book, Broken Country, which has been one of my favorites of the year, and we will be together in conversation in San Diego. I was recently in conversation with Mona Awad for her new book, We Love You, Bunny, and I'm going to post that audio recording of that conversation on the Gaze Reading Substack. So if you're not following Gaze Reading over on Substack, do that so that you could check out my conversation with my pal, Mona Awad. That conversation will be free for folks to listen to, so you can hop on over to the Substack and check that out. On the 15th, of course, the Gaze Reading book club pick will be announced for the November book club for Allstora, which is crazy because it's barely October, but the November book club pick will be announced then. And if you have not joined for the month of October, you still have time to do that. We're reading Middle Spoon by Alejandro Varela, which I was certainly a big fan of and know that folks will really like it too. All the links are in the bio on Instagram and in the show notes here on the page. For those who have listened to me ramble on, thanks for bearing with me. But everyone, please enjoy my conversations with Lily King and Dustin Thao. Lily King, welcome to Gaze Reading.
Oh, thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Are you kidding? I'm so excited. Here to talk about Heart the Lover. I have so many things to talk to you about, but I want you to give us the elevator pitch for Heart the Lover to set the scene for us.
Okay. At the very beginning, a nameless woman goes on a bad date with a very smart guy. And that kind of is the catalyst for the whole thing. It's her senior year of college. And despite the fact that everybody on the internet seems to be calling it a campus novel, we only stay on campus for less than half the book.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Then we jump 21 years and then we jump another 9 years. it's really about a relationship that starts in college as a romantic relationship, and there's a love triangle, of course, at first, and then it's really about the evolution of love in your life and how you love people romantically, and then it turns into a profound friendship. And I'm really interested right now in the different forms of love and how it presents itself and how you can feel different forms of love for the same person throughout your life.
It's very interesting. Speaking of campus novels, two college professors who were married for 30 years to each other are recently going through a divorce. And they are so publicly, like, consciously uncoupling. And it's really just a matter of how they're shifting their love for each other.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And of course, I want to ask a million questions about that.
I don't actually know that much, unfortunately. It's like what I see on social media, which is like its own problem right now. We're getting the snippets of what they want us to see.
And so they're not presenting it as acrimonious.
No.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Love shifts and changes, as we learn in the book.
Yeah.
Okay. What is with the vulgar packaging of the book?
No one has called it vulgar yet, but...
You call it that.
What are you talking about?
Girl.
Oh, shit. What did I say?
Page 4. The professor is holding up 2 neon orange pieces of paper. Despite its vulgar packaging, he says.
Okay. First of all, no one has put that together yet. Not even me. Isn't that sad? Isn't that so sad? I don't even know what's in that book.
That's so funny because here I am. I know. I was like, you're wearing a bright orange shirt. Orange comes up again in the book. And I was like, A, why is she obsessed with orange? B, the concept of the book being neon orange per the beginning of the book is genius. You didn't even get it.
No, did not get it because that book, that design came to us as yellow, like as bright yellow. And what is pink now was red. And it was an entirely different thing. And we were all like, okay, this is really weird, but really good. We're going to go with it. And then everyone was like, it's too much like Yellowface, the big hit book several years ago.
Yes.
We cannot do that. And we're like, no, what are we going to do? And then we had a gazillion different colors to choose from. And this is what we chose, never thinking about the orange, because that orange was originally green. It was neon green, and I changed
in the book?
it. Yes, all the colors have been rearranged everywhere.
Oh my God.
And I think probably maybe
so
at some point we did connect it, but I've completely forgotten that because it's been months and months. But thank you for preparing me for that one.
It's a third line of the book talking about neon orange and being vulgar packaging. That's why I called your book vulgar, Lily. That's the only reason. Oh my God, it's so funny.
I just thought it was just a random swipe at the cover. I was like, okay, here we go.
Welcome to Gaze Reading, where we just judge.
They're meanies.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Wait, but you clearly like the color orange. You're wearing it right now.
It comes up. I'm really wearing it for the message, which is probably upside down for you or backwards.
No, okay. It's perfect.
Very good. Which I think is so important right now. We need to stay human.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, you say it's not a campus novel because we're less than half the book on campus. But, however, our protagonist takes a class that I'm dying to take, which is modern furniture.
That is really funny.
It sounds amazing. Did you take modern furniture? Where did that come from?
I was so bored. Of course, now I would be interested, but I was not interested as a 21-year-old.
Isn't that the thing? Oh my God, the things that we would appreciate now that we didn't when we were young people. But I was like, modern furniture, I want to take that class. Oh, but you were bored.
I was bored. And I will tell you something else. I actually read a little snippet on another interview today, and I got to the modern furniture part. And I was remembering that when I took modern furniture, like it was this professor down, as I described, down at a slideshow thingy at the bottom of this big auditorium where you sat and the seats were so comfy that you fell asleep. And I was just like I don't know. I just found it also unremarkable. And it turns out that a friend of a friend was in that class, and she fell in love with that professor, and they're married and they have several children, I believe. And that is just a miracle to me, because that guy, like, and I think he was actually really good looking, but
Nothing could save that class for you. Yeah.
I didn't see him as a human.
Oh,
So,
no.
those
See,
are-
for me, a hot professor could totally save a class. That's too bad that
No,
didn't work for you.
I wasn't into older men at all. They terrified me.
Did you take other weird classes like that?
Oh God, I'm sure I did. I took ice skating. When I did my first year and a half of college was at UNH, and there was a PE requirement, and so I took ice skating. I actually learned how to turn and everything, and it was.
Do you think you could still do it?
Yes, I could.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was useful.
In high school, my PE requirement was first aid.
Oh, I love that.
This chubby theater kid was not doing anything else besides first aid.
I bet you still use those things to this day.
Sure, of course.
You've
I
saved
sort of
lives.
remember how CPR goes, right? But it had me thinking in college, I took history of radio was my history requirement, which was interesting.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. And then my religion class, because I went to this nice Jewish boy, went to the largest Catholic university in the country, and I had to take a religion class.
Oh my.
But it could have been anything. And my religion class was religion in pop culture.
Wow.
Yes.
That sounds
which was
really
super
interesting. What did you write your papers on?
My paper was on how a theater is like a church.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
And things that came up were like how malls are religious experiences and all sorts of weird, very specific. Yeah, it was fascinating.
Oh, that is fascinating. Wow. No, I didn't take anything interesting like that.
Oh my God, modern furniture though. That's so funny. Okay. I'm a little bummed. It's fine. The book made me think a lot about student versus scholar and how a student can become a scholar, but a scholar can always be a student.
Interesting.
We'll move off of campus in a minute, but what was it like going back to school for you?
I just want to follow up. Do you feel like a scholar can't always be a student because of the sort of arrogance and superiority, or?
No, I think a scholar can always be a student.
Oh, can. Okay, sorry.
Right. A student has to become a scholar,
Yes.
but a scholar can.
Yes. Okay, that makes more
So
sense to
as
me.
a scholar of creative writing, let's say, what was it like coming back to school for you?
Oh, it was really fun. I had been writing before this novel. I had been after Writers and Lovers, I started this political murder mystery. COVID.
Okay.
We were into COVID, and Trump was still president, and I had a lot of fear and rage, and so I tried to channel it into this novel that went full force for 90 pages and then crashed into a brick wall. And right at that time, when I was really trying to literally break through a brick wall, Ann Patchett sent me her manuscript for Tom Lake. And I started reading that, and it starts in a gym in high school. And I don't know, there was something about it. I just was like, she is having fun. I want to have fun. And so I just flipped to the back of that notebook, and I started writing that classroom scene in college
wow.
between these three people. And that was it. I never, ever looked back. I just, and it's funny. I don't know how much I felt like I was going back, but I suppose I was going back. I definitely drew on experiences that I had in college. And
You took modern furniture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And anything that I could use, I would use.
Yeah.
And just the emotions of that time is really what I went back to. At the same time, I'm in it, but I'm not reflecting back on being in it and while it's going on. So it's hard to talk about because you just go into a little bit of a trance when you're writing. And when you come out, you don't really remember what that trance was like.
Well, you're also, to be fair to you and to the story, it's not autofiction.
Exactly.
You're just pulling from experiences to like piece together details.
Yeah.
Not to
Exactly.
say that not to say that writing is that simple, but you're pulling from your life.
Yeah, no, you're pulling from
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
you've
yeah.
got. I
Right,
feel like
right.
I'm just everything I have I need to draw from because it demands a lot.
Mm-hmm.
These scenes.
Speaking of education and scholars, what is everything that comes to mind when you think of James Joyce?
All those things that she said.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The end of Ulysses and the snow falling on the living in the dead and the end of the dead and is what my high school English teacher taught me.
Oh, that's so funny. I never read any James. I've still never read any James Joyce, but as a theater kid, there was a musical adaptation of James Joyce's The Dead. And that is my only reference point of James Joyce, which is so weird. But after reading that section in the book, I was like, oh, I need to do a little Joyce.
Yeah. You could start with just Araby, the short story Araby, or the short story The Dead. Those are. There's an amazing essay by Jhumpa Lahiri from many years ago, and she begins it. It's called Sentences. The essay has the word sentences in it, and it's all about how sentences thrill her. And she quotes a line from Araby, which is about boys playing outside, and I'm not going to be able to get it, but it's a beautiful sentence about what it feels like to be a child playing outside in the cold until you feel numb. It's just beautiful. And yeah, he's extraordinary, sentence by sentence. Extraordinary.
I would have been very impressed if you pulled out a random James Joyce sentence right now.
That committed to memory, and I lost it. But,
No,
you know,
that is...
welcome to being 60.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
If I remember while I'm editing this episode, I will say the sentence at the end so people can hear it. Or I'll stick it in the show notes or something. So speaking of lists of things, there's another list that comes up from our narrator. She talks about a list of female authors that inspired her. Is that, would you say, same from in the book? Which, again, our listeners can go read. But if there's anyone that comes to mind.
Yeah, of course, I don't exactly remember her list, but I would say more or less. I definitely threw in some writers that I'm maybe not all that familiar with or that I don't have that connection. I wanted to separate a little bit from her taste, but mostly.
Well, what's Lily's taste? Oh. If you had to name one or two females
Virginia
that
Woolf
inspired you. Yeah.
Is always a big one. Shirley Hazard, Marilyn Robinson, love Elizabeth Strout, Tessa Hadley. Faulkner was a huge influence on me in college. Huge.
That's interesting.
I know. I was in the South, but I just read The Sound and the Fury kind of recently, a couple of years ago, and I was just blown away by it. I just thought that was extraordinary, and I had never really understood it before.
What inspired picking it up?
That's a good question. I think I was looking for something that would inspire me and remind me of really good writing it's just almost out of reach. Like, you're not always confident you understand everything that's going on in that book. And that's exciting and leaves room for the imagination and kind of gets your juices going. So I think that's why I picked it up.
That's fair. I love that. You said he was a big influence on you in college. What are some other, just like his canon? Is there something in particular that was?
Oh, it was Absalom. I was obsessed with Absalom, which I haven't read actually since college.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. One other one is Colm Toybeen. I just worship him. Who else? Toni Morrison. I was obsessed with her in graduate school.
Yeah. I've only read one, but she's very high on my list of more. I have all of her books.
Yeah. Beloved. I wrote my thesis on Beloved, and amazing book.
You just talked about wanting to separate your taste from our narrator's taste a little bit. Something that she talks about doing is hiding her emotion in her fiction. Is that something that you do?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What does that look like?
I don't always know what I feel until I write about it.
Oh,
And so
that's
it's a discovery. I don't always know why I'm writing about something. And
mm,
then I see what's happening. I feel things. I wrote this book called Father of the Rain. It was my third novel. It was about my father. And God, I had so many unarticulated feelings about him. And he was way too dangerous a man to actually say how you were feeling around. It was a pure appeasement at every single moment. And that book was so helpful to me because I just really got to just get in there, get into all my emotions from my childhood and my 20s and 30s, 40s, and just really express myself and really say it. And I didn't need to say it to him. And by the time the book came out, he had this big stroke, and I don't think he even knew I published a book. And so that was probably easier for me because there would have been some repercussions there. But I think that was just really necessary to do that in some
Have you
way.
two
And
been in
writing is the
touch?
way I do it. Sorry.
yeah. I was just wondering if you two had been in touch.
Yes, I was like the good daughter who just stayed in touch despite him not. And I would visit, he would never visit me. I would try to keep the visits very short. And then I saw a therapist who was like, you don't have to do that. What do you want to do? What do you feel like doing? I was like, oh my God, I can actually make a choice here. And so I just stopped communicating with him. I think it took him and my stepmother probably a year to realize what was happening. And then I'd get like these messages, and I'm just going to give, I think I wrote him a letter, but he saw it, and it was just me expressing things. He saw it as an approach, and I was like, no. And then I just kept it.
Yeah.
I didn't see him for a long time, and then he had a stroke.
Hmm.
And then I did see him. I went to the hospital because I was told he was going to die, but he didn't die. But it was an opportunity for me to reconnect, but on my terms. And that's how it was until he died. And that was great.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I ask very selfishly because I'm in the second phase of that journey right now where I've not been in communication for over 5 years now.
Wow.
And I wonder, what would I do if I get that phone call about the stroke?
Yeah.
And I wonder, how would articulating myself on the page be different or cathartic, or would it make a difference or matter or whatever? Yeah, it's been a long journey.
Wow, that is really interesting. So my mother, who had left my father years and years before that, she was really freaked out by my silence. Am I doing this? She's like, if he dies, you're going to regret it. Which is funny because she is not that. She would never, that just wasn't really her MO, but she was a little concerned about me. But I will say, he did die eventually. I didn't regret it at all.
Yeah.
I did not regret it. It was just, it had to happen for me. It didn't really seem to bother him all that much. And so I just think having relationships on your terms, or at least on equal terms, it's just really important. And I believe that therapist, when I think I wrote him like a postcard, not exactly a letter.
Oh, wow.
And I think she just said, what would you like him to know? And not angry, not anything, like just, and I think she asked me to write it. What are the good things? Like, what are the good things you would like him to know? And that's what I wrote. And that felt good too, because he knew those. I told him, and I will always have the knowledge that he read that and he knew that, because that's what I feel like was most important. So I just say that if you want to do that.
Very interesting advice. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, that's
hard stuff, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. Listen, it is and it isn't. I think part of it is hard stuff because we're told it is. Talk about love evolving, relationships evolving.
Yeah,
That does not just happen in friendships.
exactly.
And I don't think we give ourselves permission for that to change with our relatives.
It's very true. It's very true. It's really, you feel, at least I felt as a child, very small. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
very small for a long time, like until my mid-40s. And it is amazing when you become your own size in these relationships. And they really do change, because if you change, they have to change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
more power to
I
you.
would. I thank you. You too. I was saying to someone, and I say this all the time, but just said it yesterday to someone else, that I didn't feel like an adult until I realized that being an adult is just making it up as we go along. And none of us actually know what we're doing. And I was like, oh, now I feel like I'm in the club. We're all just figuring it out.
It's so true. It is
You know.
so friggin' true.
Okay, back to your writing process. You
Yes.
talked about perhaps going to Faulkner because the language is maybe like almost out of reach. There is so much Shakespeare and Greek stories in Heart the Lover.
Okay, say more.
Is this a quiz, or do you not remember? Or is it
I didn't get the orange, so I don't know.
I know, this is what I'm saying. So there's one big Shakespeare thing that I loved so much that I don't think is a spoiler. But again, you may or may not even realize you did this, but the name of the house of the professor is the Breach House.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes.
And there is something about once more unto the breach.
Wow. Okay.
Scholar, student.
Exactly. Yeah, no. Really, truly. Theater kid, fiction
Oh my
writer.
God. So funny. It is the amount of times where I'll say something back to a writer and they're like, oh my God, yes, you're right. Look at how well that connected. But the fact that it's called The Breach, once more unto the breach, is so fitting for the book. There is a Julius Caesar reference. There is Et tu, Brute.
Yeah, well.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a reference. And just the concept of a tragedy, right, I think comes up a lot too. So that, for me, was very sort of Shakespearean. And I think the trope of Shakespeare's comedies versus tragedies is comedies end in marriage and tragedies end in death. And it's got me thinking like, oh, we all die. We're all living in a tragedy. I was like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So you asked me to say more. That obviously surprised you. What do you say hearing all of that? Does Shakespeare mean anything to you?
Love that. I mean, yes. I mean, of course, Shakespeare means something to me. Not as much as I wish he did. I have this huge Shakespeare collection of things that I ordered last year, and I had this intention of reading absolutely everyone, and I haven't even cracked the book. I loved reading Shakespeare in college. I've read a little since, but not a whole lot. I love his sonnets.
ML Ria was recently on the show, and she was saying, because she was a Shakespeare scholar, she said Shakespeare really is meant to be experienced and not to be read, because it was designed to be performed. So that's an interesting, cut yourself a little slack.
Yeah. I've seen many Shakespeare. Othello is probably one of my very favorites.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that? Coming in hot.
I love the deception and it's hard to make a really evil character. And I find Iago truly scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
And then obviously Hamlet and the father. I probably relate the most to Hamlet just because of the broken family and the stepfather and the sense of the power grab. I feel like my whole childhood was power grab.
Really?
And anyway, I feel like there's often a father and son issue in my novels that can maybe be a little Shakespearean, that sort of tension of a father not feeling that their son is worth passing the mantle on to, feeling, which I'm interested in.
jumping off some of that, what does "we are all our sins remembered" mean to you?
I don't even know if this is true, but I feel like the first time I ever heard that was either in a letter or a short story by an old boyfriend of mine.
Oh, wow.
And so I think of him.
Huh.
And I also feel, I think, probably a little bit like Jordan in the novel. Like, don't give me a fucking break. Let's not, let's not load up on, I don't know, this kind of narcissistic tendency to think that all of your actions are so incredibly important and they're stored in your body and you carry them around, and like, just let it go. Just lighten up, I think, is maybe what I feel about that. What does it mean to you? Theater kid.
I know it's interesting because I was like interpreting it in a multitude of ways, and I was like, is it like a body keeps the score sort of situation? Is it we can't run from the mistakes we've made, the sins we've done?
Right.
I don't know. I think it feels like this like weighty sentence that can be interpreted in different ways. So it's interesting to hear that it was first presented to you by an ex-boyfriend.
I know, and I can't really remember the context. It's strange.
Yeah. But funny that you remember where it came.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
And this was in my 30s. It was not in college.
Oh, okay. Were you like, why would you write such an arrogant sentence?
I guess I would say, if we're really going to like dish on him, that
Let's dish on him.
We had a lot of time apart because I lived in Spain and he didn't. And so there were a lot of letters back and forth. And I always felt these letters that he wrote me were not remotely for me. They were like, they were like writing exercises for him. I just felt like I wasn't really involved. This was him writing to him. And this was him flexing, for lack of a better word. And he was writing beautiful things, but they weren't emotional. I think he maybe thought they were, but I just felt like that's just for him. And then we broke up, and then we got back together, and then we moved in together. And I had his letters, and he asked me if he could use them for a novel. And I was like, oh yeah, I always knew that this is what you were going to do with those letters. And I said,
oh my God,
fucking way are you going to have those letters? No. And he was really mad. And weirdly, I had them, this is not the way I operate normally. I'm so chaotic and disorganized. But I had them like tied up in a bundle.
Very classic.
And I opened the drawer and the bundle was untied. And he had gone in and used them. Anyway, granted, they were his writing, but there was just something that was like so confirming. We broke up soon after that. And it was like, oh yeah, I got your number.
Oh, how interesting. And it's his writing, but what's the intention? The intention is for it to be your, right? It's all, that's very complicated. But that, Lily, is a great story for a book.
Oh, okay. Let me write that down.
Seriously.
Story. Okay.
The story of those letters? Like, come on. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, speaking of stories and fun things, happier things, there is a fabulous card game in the book.
Oh, yes. Great.
Sir Hinkum Funibuster. Am I saying it right?
I say, not that there is like a right or wrong way, but
no,
I say
how does Lily say
Funny
it?
Buster.
Sir Hinkum Funibuster. Yeah, okay. It is a card game in the book. Do you like card games?
I love card games. Love them so much. And in fact, my husband had the idea to make a deck of cards based on this. And,
how fun.
And so we did. And I wish I had them to show you, but I don't have them up here. But I have an instruction sheet. So
yes, Grove put together this great instruction sheet that I
good.
will link to in the show notes, so everyone can go play Sir Hinkum Funny Buster. Whether or not you read the book, though, obviously you should read the book, but you'll learn how to play the game. How did this game come to be?
I have these really good friends named Joss and Electa, and I met them. Bizarrely, Joss was the roommate of an old boyfriend of mine. And I met them when I was 22 with this boyfriend. The boyfriend and I broke up, and they became my dear friends for life. And we actually own a house together, and our kids grew up together. And so anyway, Dad. So we're talking like 1900, basically, 1901, 1902. Learned this game when he was a kid, and he taught it to his son, who taught it to his son. And it's basically a game, I think it was designed for manners, right? You have to ask in a certain way, may I please have? And then before you touch it, you have to say thank you. And so it's like Old Maid, except you're collecting a whole family, and it's a lot more fun. And there really can be some subterfuge and we played it a couple of nights ago with friends.
Oh my God.
And we had so much fun. I just loved it so much. And we've been playing with my kids since they were little. And then my friend Electa, who was married to Joss, who's father and grandfather, taught them the game. Electa went online and she did some research, which I have not been able to find, but she found a board game from the 1800s called not Hinkum, but something close, Funny Duster. And it was a board game, and I think it was very similar. So somehow, I don't know, somewhere along the line anyway.
In Ellis Island.
Exactly.
It turned into a card game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fascinating. So this made me think about a song that my mom used to sing to me as a kid.
Wow.
And I learned later that her dad sang it to her and her siblings, but he made it up.
Oh my gosh. Sing it.
And it's like, no, I will not sing it.
Come on. You know you want to.
No, Lily, how dare you? But it's like now my youngest sister has children and sings it to them. And so it just made me think about this like very specific thing that is legacy in our family that really isn't known outside of the family. And there is one of my absolute favorite moments in the book is related to this exact thing that I won't say more about.
Yeah.
Other than this, because this clearly it has some legacy like that for you. Is there anything else in your life where you're like, oh, this is mine. This is my family's. This is our family's. And no one else does this thing, whether it's a song or a game or a recipe or.
Yes. We definitely have little things. But when I think of a recipe, it's not like that nobody else has it. But in my little town that I grew up in, they put together a little recipe book in the 60s. It was a town full of housewives. And they were probably really bored one day and they decided to make a cookbook. And one of the recipes in there is something called elephant ears. And it's basically a Toll House chocolate chip cookie. But apparently one family that we knew down the road one day just messed it all up. And they melted the butter instead of defrosted it. And they didn't use any baking powder. They used baking soda. And they used less flour. Anyway, we have this recipe and it is to die for. Like we all are addicted to these cookies. My daughter comes home and just
the accidental cookies has its own new recipe.
Yes.
Oh, how fun.
So great.
I love that.
And I'm making them as blondies and they're really good too. And I can, if I think of it, I can definitely I can write you that and I can put it.
Oh, I'll make a note to reach out about it because that would be so great. Although I want to keep it in your family, but also it's close enough. We're family now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that. And I love a chocolate chip cookie too. So I'm going to judge really hard.
Okay, I'm ready for it. Everybody has their own thing. Like some we have friends, actually Joss and Electa. They bonded really early on over their fact of their love of a really crispy chocolate chip cookie. Like,
interesting.
And I don't like a crispy chocolate. Not all the way through. I
Listen,
like it crispy on the outside, but I like
if it's the only
on
thing on the table, I will eat it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like Chips Ahoy. Who would want that?
Yeah. No, it is not my first choice. I didn't know that there were as many songs about fairs.
I didn't either. I was not choosing songs about fairs. They just one and then the other. And then I was like, what is going on?
Just came.
They all came to me. Yeah.
And then, of course, I like Googled and prepped for this. And I was like, there are dozens and dozens.
that's
like, we're
so
not,
funny.
there are a
That you've
lot.
heard of?
I haven't necessarily heard of all of them.
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
of
yeah.
some of them. But like the list on Wikipedia or wherever it was extensive.
Can you believe there's a list of songs
Oh.
about fairs?
Now that I've seen how many there are, yes, I can. It is a genre.
Oh, that is very
Oh my God,
funny.
so funny. Okay, our narrator is a writer, as we've talked about.
Yes.
At one point, she says, all of literature rests on the promise that we change, we grow, have epiphanies, become better, understand our flaws. Do you believe that to be true?
No,
Mm.
I don't. I think that happens sometimes in literature, but it's not a given. And
It's funny. I read it and I wanted it to be true.
yeah,
And I anticipated you saying yes. And my follow-up question was going to be, how do we continue to believe that?
I know.
Right? Because I feel like it's almost impossible because I don't know that we have epiphanies and we don't become better and we don't understand our flaws. I think some of us would like to believe that we try to, but it's very hard.
I know. I want to believe it too. I really do. And I think at certain times in your life, you do believe it. And it's so disheartening not to. And I do think that as individuals, it is so very possible. Is it possible as people? It's funny because, oh God, I can't believe it's back to Joss and Electa again. But Joss's dad and I are very close because he went out with my husband's mother for 15 years. It's just amazing. They met separately in another country and they started going out. So anyway.
Lily, that's another book idea.
I know. and so he and I, he's like my second dad. He's just so amazing. And we have mighty arguments about this and about whether humans as a race can change, whether they get better, whether this idea of an arc toward morality or actually does bend towards justice. And are we evolving in that way? And I always take the Pollyanna position of we absolutely are getting better. We are getting better. We are, look at how far we've come. I take her position. And then our humans will always be the same and we always have the same emotions and we don't get better or worse. We are just who we are.
As a group.
As a group. Yeah. What do you think?
I am going on year 5 of therapy.
Very good.
I feel like I've changed exponentially and have put in the work. And I've watched my fellow man and woman and they man not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is hard because on one hand, I'm like, okay, if we all, it's like recycling. If we all just do this one thing. But we can't.
No, I know. And we have all the resources right now as a species to do the right thing, to live communally, to all thrive. I really believe that. We have those resources.
Yeah.
And we don't do it. And I mean, it's so easy to point to individuals and to billionaires, but it's much bigger than that. It's something about our nature.
I think if the butterfly effect was clearer, we would be better. If we could see what incremental change could do, I think it would be better because I think so many people believe that their little thing can't make a big difference. And I think that's probably why.
I think that is very true.
In our last few minutes together, on a similar note, eternalism or presentism. Do you want to explain to our listeners the difference?
Yes. 2 theories of time that I heard on a podcast. Eternalism is this idea that everything is happening all at once, all the time. And then our little human brains can't really process that. And so we've created time to be able to process that. But that it's eternal, and then it's all at once. And then presentism is another theory that is all there is the present. Everything else is absolutely dead and gone. Obviously, the future hasn't happened yet. The past is gone, never to be returned. It's just only what we have right now, and that's it. And that's time.
So where do you land?
So it was interesting because in the podcast, and I think I put this kind of in the book like this, is that the person was asked that, and he said, "I'm leaning towards presentism," and I was so surprised because if you have a choice between always having everything and just having this moment that's so fleeting you can't even touch it, and I don't know, it makes me feel unhinged. So I just have to, for my own well-being, believe in eternalism. That we get it all the time, that everybody's here, my mom is back, and everyone's here, and it feels more like that. My mom died 9.5 years ago. I don't feel like she's gone. I feel her all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What does that mean?
A former life of mine, I worked in theater for young audiences, so professional theater for young people. And it is known to have a bit of a stigma because it's just for kids, in quotation marks. But there's a playwright and an author named Stephen Dietz who wrote this terrific article about how we are all the young people that we once were inside of us. And so there's no reason why we can't also appreciate that. And it made me think about our life as like a snowball rather than a line, because it reminded me like, oh yeah, I still giggle at the same things I giggled at when I was a kid.
True.
You still hear your mother saying that thing to you every time you do that thing that she rolled her eyes at. And so like, how can that not be there?
I know.
Because it has just become. So I'm sort of in a camp of somewhere in the middle of what is present and past rolled in a ball look like, sort of rolling towards the future. That's whatever that is. It's not, no. Well, it is now. It is now, Lily. Let's name it.
Okay, let's give it a name.
Oh my God. So as heard on Gaze Reading, everyone, this is the theory. Just call me Isaac Newton. So silly. Lily King, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so fun. I want to go for another hour.
I know, we certainly could. Everyone, go get your copy of Heart the Lover. It is out now wherever you get your books, and enjoy the gorgeous, if not vulgar, packaging that it comes in. Thanks, Lily.
Thank you. Bye.
Just gay weird time.
Dustin Thao, welcome to Gaze Reading.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being my guest gay reader today. Such an honor. I am so excited for you to tell the people about your book. But before you do, I have to know, what are you reading?
Actually, I am in the middle of Theo Jenkins Reid's newest book, Atmosphere. So I've crossed like the 150-page mark. I'm into the romance section. It's a sad and I'm really loving it so far. I'm like, of course, I think for everyone, Theo Jenkins Reid is like an auto-buy author. She definitely is. She definitely is for me. And the thing about her, this specific book, is apparently it's supposed to really make you cry at the end. But what I've read so far, I really enjoyed so far, but I'm not there yet. So I started reading reviews, which I like to do. And the review says, oh no, it's going to hit you at the end, which I'm prepared for. Because I always go into a book saying, this is not going to make me cry. Even though she's done it before with Evelyn Hugo, which is probably my favorite books of all time.
Oh.
Yeah, so I trust that it's going to happen.
Okay. Do you say, I doubt this book is going to make me cry because you're not an easy crier?
I'm not an easy crier.
Interesting.
Yeah, the last book, I would say that I feel like it only happens once in a blue moon, actually once every 3 or 4 years. The last one people often ask, they like to ask me, what's the last book that made me cry? And for sure, it still is a short story, The Paper Menagerie, Kevin Liu.
Oh.
It's one of those things, again, where everyone online, everyone on Twitter was saying this short story will make you cry so hard. But the thing about it, it's only like 15 pages. And so I went in there thinking, there's no way any person can convince me to cry in less than like in 15 pages. And
that's short.
So you go in as a challenge. And at the end, I've never cried harder in any book, even Bridge to Terabithia, which is like the first book that like I remember that got me into like sad books. I would say like that short 15-page short story, The Paper Menagerie, is so beautifully done. And every now and then I go back and I reread it to understand like how he did this. Yeah. And I imagine that's how people enter my books. They're like, it's not gonna work.
I love that you may or may not have realized that you just like pseudo popped your collar whilst saying that.
No.
That's what people do when they go into my books.
I did. No, that's like a nervous tick, if anything.
No, I loved that. That's so funny. I almost wish we should do like a follow-up conversation for me to go read the short story and then I can tell you whether or not I cried. What's so funny, though, is you just said Bridge to Terabithia was the book that got you into sad books.
Mm-hmm.
So is that like is it a style of book you love? Do you go into a book like wanting to cry? This feels very specific, Dustin.
It does. And it's so funny because people like to ask me, that's another question, like, why do you like sad books so much? And like, I always say that I genuinely, it's not that I go looking for sad books. It happens to be the ones that I remember the most.
That's interesting.
It's the stories that like, I guess have the most lasting impact. Because I always believe, as a writer, I believe that to grieve over a character is to know that you loved them and that they felt real to you. And I think that's one of the challenges of writing, is to make a person within a book feel like a friend or a neighbor or someone you know. And when that person dies in the book, it feels that you've lost them in real life. And I don't believe like a lot of authors can execute it perfectly.
Yeah.
And so I always go in wondering, like, with that type of mindset.
I have a similar thought, but about books making me laugh, because I think it's really hard, similar to tears, without tone, without additional texture, to make you laugh just from reading something on the page. And there are a handful of books that come to mind where I remember just like laughing out loud pretty consistently. And similarly, I have a handful of books that I remember really crying at the end of a book.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on humor. Humor is also just as challenging. Like, you have to be like a comedian in real life. Telling a good joke in a book is like writing a stand-up.
Yeah.
And that's something like one day, I guess, bucket list is do one stand-up set and see how that goes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself to be funny, or is that just like an aspiration?
It's one of those things where you can't say that you yourself are funny. Someone else has to say it. It's like saying, I might as well say, I'm a nice guy. You know what I mean? I hope that it's funny. And I would say that I hope I'm funny. I hope the jokes land. I will say, on to like my newest book that's coming out in 2 weeks, this month. You Found Oliver is the book that is the funniest, is what's most entertaining. And I feel like there was this shift, I will say. As I was last year, when my second book came out, I went on tour. And it was an international one. It was fun. It was actually my first ever tour. And I always had this mindset of like, oh, everyone loved You've Reached Them. It blew up on TikTok. It like sold 1 million copies. Everyone must want sad books from me. And they want every book to become even sadder. And that was the second book. And it was like, I probably killed more people than I should. And then, and people asked me what I'm working on. I said, I'm working on Oliver's story within the revisions of. And everyone said to me, though, we don't want it to be that sad. Like, where's our happy ending? We want things to work out and come together. And we don't want killing off all of our favorite characters. And I said, wait a minute. I paused. I was like, pause. So you don't want it more sad? And they're like, the entire audience was like, no, stop killing people. And
really funny.
so I was like, okay, like I'm glad I got to. That's one of the nice things about meeting readers in person, seeing what they want, what they have to say, and their opinions. Because like you, as everyone, social media influencer, author, you have an imaginary audience that you're like talking to inside your head, and to see them in real life and see that they're wanting something else from you, which was nice and refreshing. And so Oliver, I will say though, is I say now because they do want, I want this like happily ever after, and I say technically it's not a happily ever after, but is the happiest of the 3 that I've written because it's harder. It's harder than I thought. I always said that for me, happy endings are unrealistic.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, when does your crush ever like you back? Let's be honest.
Do you want to unpack that? Do you for the listeners, what is your elevator pitch for You've Found Oliver?
Oh, so You Found Oliver, for those who don't know, is the spin-off of You've Reached Sam. And it takes place exactly 1 year later, a year after Sam's death. And it follows his best friend, Oliver, who we realize has still been texting him after all this time, even though he doesn't get a response. And one day on the anniversary of Sam's death, Oliver makes a decision to delete Sam's number. And as he was doing this, he accidentally calls it instead. And someone else picks up the phone. And he realizes in that moment that this stranger has been reading every message he sent over this past year, which basically says everything he's felt about Sam, all the things he never got to say. And eventually those two continue texting each other, and slowly they develop this connection and eventually decide to meet up. But unfortunately, they realize that they live in different timelines. So it's a time slip story I've always wanted to write. And it's also is a standalone, so you don't have to read Sam before it.
I'm about 80% into You Found Oliver, and so I don't know how it ends, but I do know that it does stand alone.
Yeah.
And I am
okay.
I
so
wish I wasn't talking to you, so I could go finish it.
You're not at the end yet, so let me know. I always like, my favorite parts about writing a book is writing the ending. Well, this book follows Oliver with the best friend. But one thing I do want to say is that I think is different from the others is Oliver is my first, I hope, likable character. He's fun, he's funny, he's flirty, as opposed to characters like Julie. So the thing about Julie isn't it she is famously unlikable? It's canonized, I would say, because the first week, I always tell the story, the first week that You've Reached Sam came out, literally first week, I've never done an event. Went to a book festival, my first ever panel, and the panel was called The Unlikables. And I was put in with a bunch of fantasy authors, and it was just me about my book on grief. And then the moderator goes, so who's the villain of your story? And everyone's on this assassin, this like evil wizard who kills everyone. And it comes to me, and I just go, I guess it's like my main character, Julie. And well, what about her? And I said, her boyfriend dies. And the moderator goes, how does that make her the villain? And I go, I guess she just didn't take it very well. And so that, of course, Julie's, the way she mourns and grieves is a mirror of the way that I grieve. So it's like a piece of me. And I did freak out. Like thinking, oh my God, I wrote a character that everybody hated. But over time, I realized those are just a certain amount of opinions that I was so focused on. Because eventually I got more messages, DMs from people saying, never connected more to a character. And I lost a person in my life. And I did not express it into words until I read your book. And I saw myself. So it's kind of like, that is, I think, why I kind of gravitate towards these more characters that not necessarily like made for everyone. And I will say, I went to my second book with this challenge of, okay, I'm going to write a likable character for Eric in my second book. And he was the character that's closest to me based on like personal life, my personal experience in like gay culture, living in Chicago. and based off of real things. And everyone turns out he's unlikable too, because what the critique for him is how could someone make decisions that are just so stupid? This is unbelievable. I was like, oh yeah, it's fiction. But yeah,
It's totally fiction. I didn't make any
Yeah.
of these decisions ever.
yeah,
It's interesting that you say that, because not dissimilar from what you were saying about a happy ending being unrealistic, I think, what does a quote unquote likable character even mean? And is that realistic for a character who is flawed and who is on a journey of self-discovery? Because that is also just how we're describing a person, right? I think we're all on our own journeys. And I think, I don't know, I don't want that to come across as me saying we're all just unlikable creatures, but maybe we are.
I know. I completely 100% agree. Is like, if a character is too perfect that makes no wrong decision, they don't feel real to me. You have my own friends and some of the terrible mistakes they've made regarding dating. Like y'all, like I always say, we always have that friend that you just believe the same story about the same guy. You just want to shake him and go, "We've had this conversation."
Are you ever that friend?
Yes, but I'm healing
Good
and
for you,
have
yes.
character development.
And I did not mean that as a gotcha question. I meant that as a embracing that we're all flawed.
It's a good question. And I will say, of course, goes without saying, my books, they're in the realm of magical realism, and they are, of course, works of fiction. But I think like some of the best stories come from things that are true. And in the same in this book as my others is like I still pull from real experiences. I made this kind of funny decision to name some of the characters after my exes.
Oh,
And
that's hilarious.
I had done it once. I had done it once in my second book. And in this book, it's because I'm bad with names. And I'll just fill in a name with the people around me, and sometimes they just stick. So there are 3 X's.
Stan, that's why your characters end up being unlikable.
But they're real. I will say, for those who, I don't have the book with me, interestingly enough, but the last line of my acknowledgements is I thank all my exes. And I say, if you stumble across this book and think you saw your name, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. They definitely did not. Oh, that's so funny. If the chapter of your life right now had a title, what would it be?
My life currently, let's see. What's funny is I do think of my life in chapters or eras. And I guess right now, so I saw this TikTok, and what's funny is it talks about certain people and how they imagine their lives, and they talk about themselves in the third person, right? Almost like a persona. And I realized, oh my God, I do this. At first I thought it was silly. I was like, oh, that's so silly. Who does this? Like, wait a minute, I do this. And right now I call this era a New York Dustin.
Okay.
So which is my New York era. I've been living for 4 years. And before that, I lived 4 years in Chicago when I was doing my PhD, So that was Chicago Dustin. And so I guess this chapter currently that I'm living in, New York Dustin, I'm in my high-rise apartment.
Yes.
I will say it's my most social chapter.
Okay.
But I'm still in my single chapter as well. I'm in my single chapter. It's very social. I'm going out a lot. And I made a lot of new friends. And it's my first time, I would say, like being a part of like gay community, which is so easy to do in New York City, I will say. A part of everywhere that I live, I would say Chicago Dustin, like he probably that was one of the worst chapters, just because I always say I hate Chicago, but my friends say, Dustin, you lived in Chicago during the pandemic, which is true.
Oh, yeah.
So
because I also went to school in Chicago and I loved Chicago.
Yeah. So it is.
Yeah.
And
I also lived in Lakeview, which, a stone's throw from Boys Town.
Yeah, exactly. My second book has a specific Boys Town chapter to go like right before everything closed down. Yeah, my experience with Chicago was so different. My second book actually takes place. Oh, I will say this. A lot of my books, when I pick settings, are inspired by exactly where I lived or have lived. One was Washington, small town, middle of nowhere, Washington State, surrounded by mountains, which is where I was born and grew up. and that was You've Reached Sam. And my second book was originally set in New York City, and it was because that's where I wanted to live. But I was in Chicago at the time, and I hated Chicago. And then, but as I was writing it, what I did, like in this time where you're not allowed to hang out with anyone, was I just wandered the streets of Chicago. I wandered around the Chicago theater. And that was a favorite places to go because they kept the light on, and it felt like, at least it felt alive, and that felt people were inside. And I learned to love Chicago by having these imaginary experiences in my head of what I could do. And the book became set in Chicago. And as you may know, When Haru Was Here is about falling in love with a guy who isn't even there. And so I'm in New York right now, which is fun. And I think that translates into Oliver.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Yeah. But
I'm very excited for your New York chapter.
Yeah. It's fun. And I'm hoping we're going to move into a romance chapter. I think, because what's funny is everyone says, Dustin, like, how are you single? You're a romance author. And I go, do you guys read my books? The first guy's dead. The second guy is imaginary. And the third guy lives in a different timeline. And they're like, oh, there's going to be a happy ever after soon.
Can we manifest? What are we looking for?
Manifesting.
What are we going to put things out into the world? We want a loving, committed relationship. I have lofty aspirations of being a matchmaker. So you could fill out my questionnaire.
Oh my gosh, I would love to.
I don't really have a questionnaire, but if I did, I would happily put you in my roster of people that I would help find love for.
Okay. Start a matchmaking service.
I know.
I'll be a client.
A dream. I know. I do. I love love. What can I say? Do you consider yourself romantic?
Yes. I would hope so. I think I've been on 3 dates this year. As in 3 different people. I do enjoy planning dates. And because something is about my books is I always say that like I have characters experience things that I wish I could. You know, my dream is like to go to Japan, for example. So in book 2, I got to write a chapter where they got to go to Japan and I spent research, like a week researching all the things that I wish I could do. And yeah, so in Oliver's story, with love story between him and this astronomy student named Ben, every time they got to meet up, I got to plan this cute date for them. And that was fun to do. And I think that's like me coming through, because at the end of the day, my books are romances at its core. So yeah, I'd like to still think I'm romantic.
Yeah. All right. Anyone who's listening who wants to have a great date planned, you can email hello@gayisreading.com. You can make a little introduction. Oh my God, I love it. Dustin Thao, thank you so much for being my guest gay reader today. And I'm so excited for everyone to check out You've Found Oliver. Thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your day.
Of course. It's so nice chatting with you.
Lily, Dustin, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, a pleasure. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you next week. Bye.